in the area of reparations for descendants of Africans enslaved. If you elected president, would you sign that bill if it came across your desk?
When I am elected president, I will sign that
The speaker needs to bring the bills up now. These are their bills. They have their names on the bills. They killing their own bills because they scared of the government. Now, listen, they gonna see this and they gonna get mad at us. They killing their own bills, then they gonna get mad at us. They killing their own bills because they scared of the government. Okay? We don't care.
We need to
Bring the goddamn bills up now.
The governor needs to understand that the world is watching California, and this is going to have a direct impact on your friend, Kamala Harris, who's running for president. This is going to have a direct impact. So pull up the bills now, vote on them, and sign them.
We have
We've
the votes.
been waiting for over 400 years.
Look, as you guys know, I always lead up with this whenever I talk about reparations. I am not a foundational Black American, right? I'm a second generation American. And I want to give you some of the arguments of why I believe reparation is a political hustle for people who are for it, people who are against it, and people who use it like the Democratic Party just to dangle it like a carrot on a stick to get Black people to vote for Democrats. And I think this is one of the main reasons that majority of Black Americans support the Democratic Party is that they believe the Democratic Party will give them free stuff, right? That's how they categorize it, free stuff. But in reality, it's not really free if you understand where tax dollars come from. It comes from other Americans, and then you're essentially redistributing wealth to another group of people. Now, we make arguments about why illegals shouldn't be getting $150,000 home loans, right? This is a conservative argument. Hey, Americans pay 100% of the taxes, but you're giving tax benefits, government benefits to a group of people who have never even contributed a single cent into the tax base. That's one thing. But the argument from many of these Black Californians who warned Newsom of a direct impact on Harris after Democrats killed the reparation bills as this entitlement that they have over a plight that they never personally experienced themselves. Like, make it make sense. This is why I said, like, you can't make no more argument for reparations. They said, we've been waiting for 400 years. Last time I checked, none of y'all 400 years old. Last time y'all checked, y'all couldn't tell me who your slave master was because you never was a slave. Reparations, paying for people who were never slaves from people who never were slave owners. When only 1%, 1.5% of white America in the 1860s owned slaves. But for some reason, the entire state of California owe you money. For some reason, all of America owe you money when only 1% of America actually owned slaves. There were only 400,000 slave owners. And this is well documented. Like, this is why I laugh. The Democratic Party used reparations as a political hustle. It's a way for them to give money to academics, people in college, or these people who's supposed to study African studies, history, and stuff. Because this is, I already said, the college is an ideological church for the left. You get taught democratic values in college. And this is their way of paying these people money, paying people who vote for them, the college institutions. This is their money. Hey, look, we're going to pay you money to study reparations, but we're not going to give you money directly for reparations. Black America, your threats are empty. You have never fallen through for the 60 years. You've been claiming, oh, we're going to hold them accountable. We're going to hold them accountable. Joe Biden, we're going to hold you accountable. And look what's going on right now. Massive support for Kamala Harris. Y'all, craziness, bro. The Dr. Umar's burner account. Democrats care more about illegal immigrants than Black Americans. As an American, this is how I think of this tweet. Democrats care more about illegal immigrants than Americans. Y'all been bamboozled. But hey, you still supposed to, these baby boomer Blacks, they'll still tell you you're supposed to vote for the Democratic Party, right? They still want to tell you, oh, don't fall for it. Oh, the Democratic Party, the Republicans don't care about y'all either. I don't care. The policies that the Trump is putting out for Agenda 47 is more beneficial to me and my family than whatever the hell Kamala Harris is proposing on her side. And this is something that Black Democrats, y'all got problems. Black America, y'all got problems. Because this is a sentiment that many young Black Americans feel about the Democratic Party. Every time you call out Democrats, you have a group of Black people running to say, you think Republicans care about you? Black people have been voting overwhelmingly for Democrats for the past 60 years, damn near double the amount of times I have been alive. Every majority black district is controlled by Democrats at damn near every level. You don't even vote for anything else to get to make that statement. How can you ask for Republicans to care about you if you never vote for them to find out? This is what I'm talking about. You're always going to get the same thing over and over and over again, and you can't. It's insanity to expect something different when you continue voting for the same thing. This is why Trump said, "Hey, what do you have to lose?" And then you got all these black Democrat operatives trying to shame you, gaslight you. Oh, you ain't black if you don't vote for Democrat. Like it's a family tradition. How can you ask? Okay, however, continue to vote for that out of control crime, which affects black people, those open borders, which affects black people, fentanyl, which affects black people, that LGBTQ propaganda. Because end of the day, black community, I'm just being honest. We're very religious. We don't vibe with the LGBTQ stuff. And this is what I'm talking about. Like, you like to call conservatives like me coons for voting Republican, but Republican closely projects our values than the Democratic Party. How you not a coon, black Democrat? How you are not a coon? Everything here goes against your interests. Open borders, mass immigration. Who's easier to replace? The 66% white population or the 13% black population? I'll wait. Latinos are about to overtake us in population numbers, if not already overtake us in population numbers. And we supposed to be in here since the beginning of this country. But now there's immigrants that have more people in the country than you do. And that high inflation, those high taxes, that welfare, abortion, ethic, with the Democrat parties, I see how that ish works out for you. Keep voting for the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result is insanity. But this is what y'all want, right? The Democrats put the Central Park 5 in prison. The Democrats passed the 1994 crime bill. And now in 2024, the Democrats blocked the reparation bill in California. It makes zero sense for black Americans to vote for these anti-black, he calls them devil Democrats. Now, one thing I'll push back on is, why should California pay reparations when California was never a slave state? You see, this is what I'm talking about. Y'all talking about, oh, this is to right a wrong. But why are you asking California to pay for a wrong that it never was a part of in the first place? Make it make sense. Y'all talking about how this is supposed to be, oh, we trying to right a wrong here. You expect a party that defended slavery, defended, that voted against reparations to pass reparations. Make it make sense. During the Emancipation Proclamation, after Abraham Lincoln died, who blocked his emancipation bill? His vice president. His vice president was what? A Democrat. So Abraham Lincoln's Democrat vice president blocked the Emancipation Proclamation, which would have gave reparations to the rightful people, the people who actually was slaves, who actually suffered slavery, not their descendants who are piggybacking off the struggle of their ancestors. And this is why you can't make a clear moral argument for reparations. I'm sorry. It falls this is what I'm saying. Black America has pretty much almost used up all its moral currency. You can't claim that slavery was so bad, so evil, but in the same breath, use slavery to benefit your own self. That's selfishness. You already got reparations. The special attention to detail, all these special bills, all welfare, what else? Affirmative action, preferential treatment. Come on. America's been trying to make it right in other ways, but it's not the way you want it, so you want to dismiss it. Oh, those don't mean anything. We don't care if Americans trying to help us out. We don't care that millions, hundreds of thousands of white Americans got lynched along with black people for trying to help them out. You want to disregard all those people. And this is the problem with reparations, the reparation argument. It's a hustle. You trying to play on the sympathy of people, and the sympathy is gone. Because my argument has always been, if your ancestors was living right now, let's say we had a time machine and you was able to bring your ancestors to this time period and reparations was getting passed around, who the reparations will go to? You or your ancestor? Your ancestor. Okay, your ancestor died a long time ago. That means you have no right to piggyback off his struggle because he's the one who took the whips. He's the one who picked the cotton. He's the one whose rights was violated. But you get to benefit off of that? How are you any different from the slave owners that benefited off his labor? benefited off his suffering. You're doing the same thing. Yet you're sitting here. Oh, we've been waiting 400 years. You're going to keep waiting another 400 years. Because the more time goes on, the less of a case you have for reparations. That's my argument there.
What we see in the United States in terms of the bad things, you see all around the world. If you were to give reparations to everyone whose ancestors had been slaves, I suspect that you would have to give reparations to more than half the entire population of the globe. Slavery was not confined to one set of races. I suspect that most of the people who were either slaves or slave owners around the world were neither white nor black. I mean, this was a universal curse of the human species.
Africa, the Middle East, Asia, slavery took place everywhere.
And it continued elsewhere long after it was abolished in the Western countries.
All right. Let me try as sticking with Ta-Nehisi Coates. Shelby Steele talks about white guilt. And in Ta-Nehisi Coates, you get almost the counterpart of that, a kind of African-American claim against the white guilt. And this seems, beginning with the abolitionists, even beginning before the Civil War, you seem almost every generation, there's some expression that racism and slavery, as Shelby calls it, correctly, of course, the sin of slavery is so deeply, and it's something we still live with. How do we expiate it? How do we get past it? Is there something we can do to relieve ourselves of this legacy?
Oh, I think you should repeat it. If you were a slave owner, I don't see any reason why you should feel differently. On the other hand, I can't get over the idea of A, apologizing for what B did.
Okay.
Even when they're contemporaries, much less when one is dead and the other is alive.
All right.
I mean, Scalia, I remember was saying, that I owe no man anything because people who look like me did something to people who look like him.
And my argument is white people are feeling less and less guilty about all this stuff because white people go back and say, so you want to castigate my whole entire race? This is white America. You want to castigate my whole entire race because only 1% of us own slaves and now all of us are at fault for this? Yeah, go do your research, find the slave owners, find the families of those descended from slave owners, and let them pay. But I'll be less than 1% of white America. Less than 4% of Americans, I think, has any ties to slavery. So your reparations argument is falling apart. The federal government, for sure, the federal government should not be paying any kind of reparations. That should be something like a personal matter, like families. Oh, hey, look, my great, y'all supposed to be on a family level. Y'all supposed to be doing this. But state, national, no. Y'all don't deserve nothing. And I know I'm going to piss people off, but I don't care. Because I see this nothing more than a hustle. You trying to play on people's sympathy. But people don't have sympathy for y'all anymore. No one cares. Everyone's suffering in here. You want direct cash payments. Like throughout human history is not riddled with slavery. But y'all want to pretend y'all got it so special. This is the problem with reparations. Here's a Republican calling out the Democratic Party. I want to be clear about what happened last night in the California legislature and my views on the issues of reparations. For years, the Democratic Party has been promising to pay direct cash reparations to Americans who have been harmed by slavery, which none exists right now, for the most part, if you're under the age of 100 years old. They convinced voters that they were serious about this proposal and that they wanted to enact legislation to make it happen. When the time came to pass the bill, they went into hiding and refused to bring the bill to the floor for a vote. There were hundreds of activists in the Capitol being visibly ignored by the Democrats in Sacramento. They weren't even allowed to enter the public gallery to watch the proceedings. I have never seen that happen. I met with several members of the public there to support the bills, and I found them to be sincere, honest, and deeply frustrated Americans. I believe that there should be a debate and a recorded vote on the issue. Politicians cannot be allowed to make promises to people who elect them and then hide like cowards when it's time to go on record. At minimum, the people who are owed a hearing and opportunity to know what their elected representatives stand on the issue. I have always been clear about my views. I have not been supportive of the California's taxpayers paying for the wrongs of slave states, how perhaps slave states and Democratic Party who fought for slavery should be the financial responsible ones. Like imagine, in the intro, I showed you Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is a descendant of a slave owner. Barack Obama is a descendant of a slave owner. Donald Trump is not a descendant of a slave owner. So his billions of dollars are not going to be touched if you wanted reparations. But see, here you are sitting around. Oh yeah, we should get free money, free cash, and you voted for the party that fought for slavery, defended slavery, separated from the union to protect slavery. Yet you voted for them, and you expect them to do it for you. Oh wow, show me you don't know your history. But the party switched. Yeah, they're doing the same thing they did when Lincoln was in power. His Democratic vice president stopped the Emancipation Proclamation, sorry, and the Democrats are doing the same thing, except they know they can use your vote, so they hustle you, carried on the stink mentality. However, I do believe that we need to have conversations about making direct investments and important policy changes into communities that have been harmed by past injustices. This is a conversation Republicans are very much open to having, and this is what I'm talking about. Y'all can't make change is not going to happen from a political level. It has to happen from a cultural level. But this is the game y'all fall for every single time. Instead of trying to find policies that'll help you help yourself, you want the government to give you stuff. You want the government to take care of you, like the slave masters used to take care of y'all when y'all were slaves, allegedly. This is why I said socialism is slavery. It is unconscionable that the Democrats this year have spent billions of dollars on handouts to illegal immigrants, including giving them free universal health care and down payment assistance to buy a new home. These are the people who broke our laws and just showed up in our country. If we have billions to give to illegals, then why don't we have billions to invest in our own American communities? Invest in the communities, not give you some direct cash. Cut the check. Y'all look greedy. Cut the check for what? What you experienced? Did you break your arm? Let me see your chain marks. Let me see your whip marks. What the hell you went through? Why should you get a check? Invest in your community should be the only thing you should be demanding. And this is how black people lose their moral authority in our culture. And they wonder why they never, like, reparations have never been popular in American politics, because most Americans like, yo, I have nothing to do with slavery. So what if my ancestors used to own slaves? That has nothing to do with me. I've never owned any slaves. But they don't want to look at Africa, who sold slaves in the first place. Let me tell you something. If Africans never sold slaves to other foreigners, black slaves will never exist in the Western Hemisphere. But they do, because you were sold for a bottle of wine. But I don't hear y'all complaining about Africans paying up y'all money, because you know Africa can't really pay y'all nothing. Just like a mother who don't know who's the father is, she's going to try to pin the baby on the most financially stable man that she can find, hoping that he's the father. This is what the reparations argument is the same way too. Africa's the one who sold y'all in the first place. Africans went to war with other Africans. The losing Africans became slaves. Then they sold those slaves into America. Your ancestors was never free. They were slaves in Africa and then sold to be slaves to someone else. But y'all want to ignore that part of history. Y'all want to ignore that slavery is in practice throughout all of time, all of human history. But you want to pretend it's something uniquely American. Make it make sense. But hey, I digress. No, I'm just tired of the hustling. I'm just tired. I'm tired of the hustle. You can get mad, you can do all that, but this is why reparations never get any support. Because you can't even get black immigrants to support reparations. But you think white Americans who had nothing to do with slavery, who only 1% of their race ever owned slaves, black slaves, and you expect our tax money, majority of the tax money that funds the government that have nothing to do with slavery, you expect us to give you money. Oh, que lindo. How cute. This is why reparations has never been popular, why it never will be popular, and probably will never pass unless the Democrats get really desperate. But I digress. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. You agree with me, disagree with me? I'd like to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I appreciate you guys watching the end of the video. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.